The Case of the Missing Husky. Recently released from school for summer vacation, I was quietly reading my summer reading book on the beach when I received a frantic phone call. "Help! You have to help us find Jonathan, the missing Yukon Husky. You're the only one who can help us because of your technical skill, your knowledge of engineering, and your ability to never give up." I quickly packed up my bags and headed to Yukon to see the crime scene. I must save Jonathan. Jonathan was last spotted at Comfortu, a fun training for teachers about creativity. As usual, the first suspects I met were famous. Those celebrities were always up to something. So I interrogated Joseph Renzulli and Sally Race, authors of the school-wide enrichment model. I followed them from workshop to workshop with no sign of Jonathan. Joseph seemed suspicious as he told me, whatever I did, do not go in that door. He pointed to the left. A huge misspelled sign seemed like it was another clue. No engineering student or teacher would ever make such an error. There was only one thing to do. The door led me into the Innovation Partnership building and down a long hallway where I met Dr. Zhu, assistant professor in the Department of Materials Science and Engineering. She declared that she hadn't seen or heard Jonathan in some time, but invited us to tour the lab and see if we could find any clues on the electron microscopes. The first sample showed nanocrystals of cobalt oxide magnified to a size smaller than you can possibly imagine, but no sign of dog hair. It was a hot day, so she suggested we check the pool next. Running across campus as fast as I could, I swear I heard barking, but when I got to the pool, I only saw underwater robots being tested. The robotics engineers said their robots had not detected any life forms in the pool. I looked around and only found one clue. A wet footprint, maybe human, maybe dog, leading out to the Materials and Infrastructure Lab. I had to investigate. The PhD students in the lab were so kind and helpful. Honestly, they were the least likely suspects so far, but I was able to convince them to give me a tour. Not only did they think it was a good idea, they offered to let me view a strain and stress test as they put 137,000 pounds of pressure on a concrete piece to show me their great work in developing super strong materials. Unlike the PhD students, the concrete piece crumbled under pressure. I was sure they were in the clear, but I did overhear one saying he thought the biomedical engineering students were a bit shady. As I was running up the stairs to their laboratory, I fell and twisted my leg. They kindly offered to design and develop a prosthetic leg for me to finish my investigation. Those biomedical students are so smart. Like the others, they invited me to look around. Stephany, PhD student in biomedical engineering, smiled warmly and said she had nothing to hide. Phoebe, another PhD student, seemed worried when I asked her about the bones in the refrigerator. Surely it was a little suspicious. She stated they were pig bones used in shear testing to demonstrate early stages of osteoarthritis. How could she prove Jonathan wasn't also in the freezer? I took a sample and brought it to Professor Banzel, assistant professor in computer science and engineering. He works a lot with DNA, so he quickly reviewed the DNA from the bones and cleared the biomedical students. I wasn't convinced, but I resolved to revisit them later. It was getting quite hot, so I took a break at Cogen, the on-campus energy plant that allows UConn to make all of its own power. It utilizes natural gas and steam production, and it's able to reharness useful thermal energy. It's clean energy, and it's replaced fossil fuels that were used in the past, allowing over 80% of the fuel energy to be harnessed versus 33% from conventional power. These guys had the coolest job, literally. Suddenly I heard a bark outside. I ran down the stairs as fast as I could, only to find this guy. Jonathan? I hadn't seen him in person ever, so I thought that maybe the bad guys had roughed him up a little bit. The nice man who was his owner suggested that I cool off a little bit and investigate the husky tracks that he saw over at the dairy bar. So determined to find Jonathan, I headed over to see the tracks for myself. How many huskies could there be at UConn? When I asked the attendant to see the tracks, she gave me a giant ice cream. I was not disappointed. Suddenly, I heard a slurping sound right next to me. As I looked to my right, the case was solved. Jonathan was there having a raspberry sorbet. I really turned this case upside down. Until next time, UConn, I'll be back.